That conversation is rife. It's necessary that we have it, especially after the BBC Africa Eye expose yesterday that got Africans talking. When it comes to sexual abuse, especially in the universities, it's something that people have complained about over the years. I personally have received a lot of DMs from girls who have asked that we add our voice to the campaign so that some of them can finally graduate and also ward off these predators on campus. Unfortunately, it looks like attention wasn't paid as much as expected until yesterday, and now there's an expose that has in a way incriminated some lecturers in the country. There are a few people who are against this investigative piece because for them it puts Ghana in a bad light internationally, and so it makes it very difficult for people who carry degrees from Ghanaian universities to easily find schools in or on the international market. And so today I have students from University of Ghana, and also we've been joined again by lawyer Roxin. He was earlier on for the newspaper review with Johnny Hughes, and he's back on there. So thank you so much for staying and agreeing to do this with us. We're very grateful. And also in the studio I have Samson Tagbo, I have Judith Awoche, Tando Isaac Amponsa, Priscilla Anan Ponsa, Priscilla Asantwa Aye, and Bannon Clinton Bafo. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
And so you are all students. Clearly, I'm sure that you're not surprised by this expose, are you?
No.
You're not? Ladies, I would want you to speak first because
really?
I mean, this is affecting an issue that has affected ladies over the years.
Yeah.
Are you aware of it? Have you been a victim before?
I personally haven't been a victim.
Okay.
But I am aware of this.
You are aware. What exactly were you aware of?
Oh, you hear stories from students.
Like?
For that you cannot. I cannot.
No, I mean, as long as you're not mentioning names, it's fine. Can you at least tell us, give us a vivid experience of someone who told you a story?
For me, I heard of a story, but for the story I heard of, I do not think that it's solely to the blame solely goes to one person.
No problem.
I
we
feel
still
that
want to hear it.
Yes. So I should no,
don't mention names. That's what I'm saying. That don't mention names. But what did you hear on campus?
Oh wow. Okay, so I heard of a lady who she actually wanted questions.
Okay.
And so she tried to
seduce a lecturer?
Sort of. She went to a lecturer for questions, but the lecturer would want this in return, and you know what I'm talking about. So that's the general thingy, and he would fail her if she doesn't give him what he wants.
Okay, to his demands.
Yes.
So did she give in?
Eventually she graduated. I don't know whether she did.
Graduated. So maybe she did, or maybe she decided to study.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's totally wrong for you to even want to go to a lecturer for questions. You have a whole semester to attend classes and to study. What about you, sweetheart? Any experiences that you know of?
No, please. But
why do I have a feeling that you are all hiding? Should I go to the men? Maybe they'll be bold enough to tell us the stories. And these are some of the problems that we're facing, because it looks like everybody is afraid to be victimized, and so they'd rather not speak. Clinton, do you have a story to share?
Even if I have a story to share, the men are not complaining.
The men are not complaining. Okay, but do you have female friends who have told you?
I have a lot of female friends, and they've shared experiences, and they've told me what they've experienced for some time. I think there was one who had agreed that she thinks she wasn't okay with it, and that she had to approach a lecturer to discuss it. And definitely it has always been the case that a lecturer would ask for something from the lady, but she feels she won't give in, so the grade remained the same.
Okay.
And, there are other issues as such, not only in the University of Ghana, but then I have friends across other universities who keep addressing me with such issues because of the relationships I do have with them. And I think it's one of the major problems that needs to be addressed, because for you to be denied a grade because you definitely didn't give in to a lecture or something, it's a very sad issue, and it's very disheartening as well.
Samson, I'm coming to you. Because you are part of the Students' Council, right?
Well,
or the Students' Board.
Well, I've worked closely with student representative. I'm a former as a PRO, but currently I'm not part of the current executives.
No problem. But are you all aware of the sexual harassment policy that was put out by University of Ghana in 2017? Are you all privy to the document?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Can you school me a bit on it? Yeah.
Well, Bella, I think that we are discussing a very sensitive issue this morning, and just as the way the previous colleagues stated it, we have heard of these issues in the media. Some friends will also call and complain to and all of that. But the other aspect is that the University of Ghana, and I want to believe that other universities also have anti-sexual harassment policies. You have mentioned that if we are aware of such a policy, of course we do. And in that policy, the university consciously put out what we are supposed to do in circumstances such as this.
Yeah.
What it means is that we do not want to take individuals' opinion, no matter how plausible it will be, to the level of the law and what ought to be done under certain circumstances. So the university consciously stipulated what should be done under certain circumstances regarding sexual harassment and all of that. It's interesting to note that the University Council has a role in that policy, that 23-page policy, to implement the anti-sexual harassment policy to its fullest. And the chief disciplinary officer, who is the vice chancellor, is also entitled to, ensure that the university attend to issues regarding anti-sexual harassment issues and all of that. The other issue is that we have a full department, SIGENSA, a Center for Gender Studies and Advocacy, that is working closely with this committee. Now, Bella, I am not speaking on behalf of the university, and I am not speaking on behalf of any character or lecturer that is cited in this issue. But we are talking about the issue in its entirety or its generality. We are saying that if you have the opportunity or if you have any issue regarding sexual harassment, and there is a laid down procedure, which is the opportunity given you to follow, and that opportunity at the end of the day, talks about certain sanctions to be carried out if investigations prove that indeed these allegations are true or not. And you decided not to follow them, but instead we have been asked to rely on some expose of a sort and make conclusions. Then I think it's worrying.
Is victimization not a reason why a lot of people have decided not to speak? Secondly, what are the reporting lines at the University of Ghana? Let's say a lady or a man has been sexually harassed or abused. Who do you go and report to? And usually when you report, do you get the response that you would expect?
Well, Bella, before my colleague comes in, let me put this straight. That you see, the reporting lines are very clear. For everybody to assume or presume for people who are victims of these circumstances that if they go ahead to report, they will be victimized. For me, I think it's a bit worrying, and it lacks the question, because you have to take the step first and foremost, so that when you are victimized, then you have an element of discussion on this particular issue. For what I know, it has not been the case that anybody has reported such issues to the authorities that are mentioned in that policy, and they have been victimized. But
that's because you are not aware? You think that people have not gone to report sexual abuse?
Well, Bella, we don't have that on record. We don't have it on record, so we cannot speak off record. We can only speak to issues. Of course, at this discussion, we cannot conjecture what is and what is not. We can only speak relative to the issues that are verifiable. And what I'm saying is that I have not heard or seen in any report that Akosia Mansa has reported this lecture to the authorities under the anti-sexual harassment policy, and the person has been victimized and all of that. I have not heard him and I have not seen him. So what I'm speaking to is that if you have the opportunity, and for me at the University of Ghana, I think the environment is very friendly, that even if you don't have the courage to go to these authorities and complain formally to them, you have a lecturer or other lecturers who are more friendly and closer to you, that you can even report to, and they might even end up showing you the way forward.
Okay, I'll come back to that, but quickly before I come to Lawyer Roxanne, I know you wanted to say something, Isaac.
Actually, this is a very dicey issue.
Okay.
And taking into consideration the several interest bodies that are involved, we have to be very careful with our statements and what have you. I mean, talking about the sexual harassment policy, every university, at least most universities, have that particular policy in place. Yeah. UDS has it, UCC has it, and several universities have it. So, I mean, per my discretion and per what I've read from the university's policy on harassment, it clearly stipulates a formal process which, when a student is victimized or suffers that particular sort of treatment, can go and seek redress. And even so, we have an informal procedure that is laid down where students can even go and have a discussion, informal, and settle that particular argument. And even not even talking of that, even the so-called well-established universities out there, they all have issues of sexual harassment popping up here and there. Let me just retool you back to history, talking about John B. Waxman, who is a popular person within the world of psychology, was involved in several sexual harassment with his students. So this is a story that is trending, dating back to even before University of Ghana was even established. I get to be. So I think and I believe that the University of Ghana, per my own study and analysis of issues, is really doing well in that regard. But this is just hearsay.
You think it's hearsay? You don't think that's okay? You don't think the expose is conclusive? You don't think it's conclusive?
No, it's just, I think even if the title "Sex for Grade" is very deceptive. I get to me because.
Are you saying that something like that doesn't exist on campus?
Though it might exist. Though it might exist, but we need concrete evidence to back it. Yes, I know it exists, but we need concrete evidence to back it.
All right, Lawyer Roxin, the students here seem to be quite adamant in telling us exactly what's happening. Maybe truly there is a step and a procedure as to how students should report and all of that. But first of all, this expose that they say is not conclusive, are you also of the same view?
Not at all. I have been in student leadership. I left university in 2000, Millennium graduates, and I went back and completed in 2007 for my LLB. As far back as 98, you know, and that is, I can say, is modern times. These issues reared their ugly heads in our universities. Were there in the University of Cape Coast. The trend then was that there were some female socialites who would travel to London, and when we return to school when semester reopens, and they will come in just after about a month to exams. We must have done several IAs towards your continuous assessment, 40%. They were not bothered. They were not going to lectures. They would go to the computer room. You know, the computer room was manned by young computer science student, graduates those days. And they will seek favors. So when we were in school, when we were student leaders, this were how the reports, how the gossip went. But when we got to the final year in 1999-2000, I think a lecturer got involved, and eventually I think that lecturer had to be removed. I think we demonstrated and he had to be removed. But the point I'm trying to drive at is that it's become endemic, not just in our universities, other tertiary institutions, workplaces. Ask young female graduates who have completed national service or who simply want national service postings to exotic places. Ask them what they go through. When I was in private practice, some of these matters came before me. Some even threatened to sue and all that. But they were not emotionally capable of withstanding or going through the rigors of trial. So sometimes you are want to advise them to seek psychological help. if they were of that fortitude to fight the matter, they could return. They never came back. Young graduates who finish national service, seek employment, find out. All right?
Okay.
In churches.
It's happening.
It's happening. So, these are social deviants. So they are found in almost every subsector of the economy. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I made a point this morning earlier that Gifty Auntie, Nana Nsapa's wife.
Yeah.
She did a program some time ago. She titled it "Search for Great
Jobs"
and "Search for Jobs." We didn't pay attention to her. We are only connecting the dots as a result of the emergence of this documentary.
Is it because in this documentary there seems to be some level of evidence against certain people, as against Gifty Aunties?
You see, as a practitioner, we lay emphasis on evidence. So I can understand the perspective from where is it Anam?
Yeah, Isaac.
Anampansa. Oh, Anampansa. Okay.
Yeah.
I can understand his perspective to the matter. But Section 51 of the evidence decree will tell you, and Act 323 will tell you that it is immaterial how the evidence is obtained. Once it is relevant to the matter, it will be admitted by a court of law.
Okay.
The duty of the court will be to place the probative value on the evidence before it and come to a certain determination of the matter.
Okay.
So if you cry wolf that yes, I don't like how the evidence was gathered and maybe I was entrapped, the video recording was done without my knowing, so I was, all that is immaterial to the court. Once there's some form of evidence to deal with for the court to make a determination on it, the court will look at it and come to that determination.
Okay.
So, and that's a sacrosanct principle in law.
All right.
Now, what do we speak of? We speak of issues that, or an issue that has become endemic in the universities as a result of sheer numbers of student population. Look, believe you me, some students really are not studying.
True.
Even the male ones.
True. From
where I sit, we have evidence that there are male students who are now prostitutes on campus.
It is clearly what she said, that a friend of hers went to ask, or someone she knew went to ask for questions. Clearly that showed that the person wasn't ready to study.
I am speaking of even gays, men, young men who enter the universities. They are not working. They are not studying. They have partners outside.
Okay.
So they go and make money and come and pay lecturers.
So this is not only an issue about sex for grades, but maybe even gifts.
Yes.
For grades and all that.
So, and I'll come to that. So for instance, when I got to the university final year 2000, some went to abroad, vacation work. They won't come back. When they come, they bring perfume. And that time, mobile phone was now emerging. You couldn't even buy the chip to put in the chip was as expensive as 250.
Yeah.
Equivalent now as at that time. So what people did was to hang the mobile phone around their neck like this to show that they have a mobile. They come from London, they have a mobile phone, but there's no line.
Yeah.
And the light will be blinking in the evenings. These were things they gave to lecturers. They fancied it.
And that would give them, the results that they wanted.
People were able to change their grades. We had, so I speak of 20 years ago. You understand my point? And these things happened even before 20 years ago.
And it's gotten worse over time.
It's getting worse. That is why people are becoming scandalized.
Yeah.
The sheer proportion.
All right.
this law school matters.
Is also
some of the undercurrents and some of these complaints.
True. Yeah. Laura, before you even carry on, let me come back to the students and ask, so what is the atmosphere like on campus? Because there seems to be a divided front. Some people believe that this was totally wrong on the part of BBC to come down to Africa and shed a bad light on our university education. Other people think that it was great that they came because people have been complaining for a long time and nobody was paying attention to it. Which side are you on and what do you think? Okay, Isaac.
All right.
And you can all contribute. I don't like how you're all quiet. It looks like everybody's afraid to say something. Don't be. Yeah, but Isaac.
Bella, actually, you know, the whole expose that came out, I mean, it's a good thing.
It's good.
Yes, they've exposed some certain things. Expose some certain things.
Okay.
But they come in as a foreign entity to, I mean, carry out this documentary is what I have a problem on. Issue.
Does it matter who carries out the investigation?
You know,
should we not be more concerned about the information that they are putting out?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm not discounting the cracks or the content of the information. It's great. This is what has been happening.
Yeah,
I get me. It is a fact on the ground that it has been happening, but no one has courage to be able to confront the issues.
Reason why someone came in to do it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But the fact is that even within what's the name, the Western world, we have those happenings around. Are you getting me?
Okay.
Are you telling me that the media houses within Ghana here are not competent enough to carry out this exposure?
So you would have preferred that a local media
or the
house.
structures within the university are not equipped enough to at least carry out this particular expose or sort of investigation?
Okay.
You know, we should look at it from a point that is objective. That is where we can really appreciate it. I mean, whatever all of us were discussing here has truth in it, but we have to study the whole thing systematically and make an informed conversation around it.
Okay. You want to say something?
Yes, Bella.
I'll come back to you.
I think that the University of Ghana itself is promoting a policy to address this issue, and I think that the University of Ghana is more interested in protecting the female students or victims of these issues and happenings. That is why in their wisdom they have even enacted laws and policies to cater for some of these things.
Okay.
So it is now left for victims to report these issues.
To who?
To the authorities that are mentioned.
Who exactly? So tell me, where do we start from?
So you can go to the Sigensa and make a formal complaint. You can even go and report to your course advisor.
And you are telling me that as it stands now, there are no records of any complaints from students at Sigensa?
Yes, of course. Sigensa
not even one? Not even one report?
Sigensa have not published that. Indeed, in the year 2015, 14 or 13 or this year, these students reported letter A or B to have done this and that and that. So I am saying that we have institutions that are set out to take care of some of these things, and we cannot bypass these institutions to go and do our own thing. If you do that, what it means is that we are only bastardizing our institutions, will not allow them to work, and anybody who suffers some of these things will not have the courage to come forward and report to even the laid down procedures to take further action. So we are saying that the University of Ghana is not against any expose or what have you, but the truth is that I know as a student, I know that there is a anti-sexual harassment policy, and if I suffer a victim, I'm going to report to the authorities therein so that actions will be taken.
I hope that students now know, especially for those who don't know. Before I even come to Crystal, quick one, lawyer. Yes. So in this case where Professor Jampo has said that he's going to file a lawsuit against the BBC, you mentioned earlier that you didn't think he should have spoken on the issue, but he did. Does that in any way have an effect on the possible outcome of this lawsuit in terms of him eventually winning the suit against BBC?
You see, the fact that you proceed to court doesn't mean you win.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I made the point that if I were him, or if I were close to him, this matter began to filter in from about Saturday morning. And initially it was about some West African universities. Then by Sunday morning, they are zeroed in on University of Ghana. And by Sunday evening, his name and name of one other lecturer had popped up.
Yeah.
So if I were him, I would have procured the services of a lawyer or two to advise my position.
Okay.
You don't go to town on these matters, particularly when we were then yet to see the contents of the said video.
Okay.
Just for the lawyers to advise your position. Then you stay back. Let the video be played out. And let how the public receives the evidence. Then you can couch your responses accordingly. But like before, he simply went to town, he became garrulous, speaking discordantly to the issue. In one of his submissions, he said no, there was only one time that he met the lady, but in the video there was another instance that they met at the Kramo. You understand me? So then it means the things you were saying vis-a-vis the contents of the evidence available now,
okay,
will indict you.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But I want to disagree with my two brothers. This business of let the victims come to report. We know, even you in the studios, you are most unwilling to speak freely.
Yeah.
Because of your peculiar circumstances, you don't know what you say. That will create problems for you in your departments and faculties back in school. And so it's the same. People, I just told you that some ladies came to me to look at the possibility of suing.
Yeah.
Even though they were crying, they were emotionally distraught. And these are not persons you can put on the evidence stand to testify.
Yeah.
They will crack, and the cross-examination, they'll be badly exposed. So unless the persons have the emotional temperament to go through the rigor, even the reporting, because procedure is provided in the policy as to how the hearing will go. It's a typical hearing process. It has to go because they will have to testify. Their testimonies will have to be interrogated. Are they capable? Do they have the emotional stability to do that?
Okay.
A lot of them don't. So now this issue has given people the opportunity to ventilate. Opening has come. Some as old as 50 years, they are now talking. And then somebody just forwarded, somebody is recounting her story in 1992, the same University of Ghana.
So that means that it's not easy. It's not easy to speak on that issue. Let me let Crystal quickly
some even said that
messages.
They were raped in some of the offices. You know? So, but there's no time bar to crime.
Exactly.
So I am saying that if in some jurisdictions, I'm sure Prof would have been invited to at least give a statement by now. In some serious jurisdictions.
But that hasn't
and you know why? The other professor, I've even forgotten his name.
Putako.
He hasn't spoken.
Well, he denied because the BBC said that he's denied allegations.
Yes, but he hasn't spoken. No, so we're all talking about Jampo.
Let Christoph read some of the comments that are coming through WhatsApp. This Fred Kwesi, he says, I will not forgive any teacher in any JHS or SHS who will try that sex for grades with any girl from my family. From Dr. Abedi Kwadaso, aka Police Ni. Hey, that's a long one. He says, good morning, champion host. These sex for grades happen everywhere. Why were the BBC selective? Is it a planned thing to destroy the reputation of some selected lecturers, or because even in Ghana, almost all the tertiary institutions, these things have become the order of the day? God save Ghana. Hi to Reverend Samuel K. Mensah from, and the other one says, students been crying out loud about this harassment, but every authority turns a deaf ear to them. It took outsiders to make investigations before we're all listening now. You prefer we all keep quiet and ignore so that the bad lecturers keep producing fake doctors by sex or whack administrators then we later blame politicians alone. Lock the door and off the lights and kiss me. And then she laughs. My project coordinator gave us whack marks because of his personal beef with my project supervisor. All those under that supervisor got whack marks, and we complained and went to the dean and all authorities, but nothing was done. I guess it would have been different if BBC rather complained. From Ajo of Big Joe Shoes near Kwadaso Onion Market. I'm very happy that the narration has changed today. A shoddy work from BBC. They were not wise at all. The lady is not University of Ghana students. There was no sex act. But I am not surprised how Sunyani nurses hail President Akufo-Addo on their Alawa issue. Hi to Mame Soja of Kwadaso. Well, okay. Good morning, Johnny. On the issue of sex for grades, the UDS WA campus is a worst culprit. Mr. Bernard Bewa, a lecturer of the School of Business and Law, lured and locked a lady in his apartment. Attempted to rape her, but wasn't successful because the lady screamed to the hearing of neighbors. Wow. He then threatened to fail her, and in his own words, do you think you are better than those I've had my way with? Others even pray and beg for him to sleep with them in exchange for grades. Wow. The last one for today. Hi Bella, I'm enjoying the show. This issue is very serious. Even if you are intelligent, you won't get good grades unless you have sex with them. If you have dignity, you fail because you didn't give them what they want. Jasmine from Ayimensa.
Ah.
All right, thank you so much, Crystal. This is all time will allow. And so I'd like to say thank you to Lawyer Roxanne. Thank you so much for your insights. And students, thank you for coming as well. You are now looking at me, Sean. When I gave you the opportunity to speak, all of you were holding back. I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll have to wrap up on this segment.